Take a deep breath and remember who you are. Yeah, they're gonna mess with you, baby, you're a star. Stepping in the spotlight, you know that it feels right. Time to put up a fight, honey. Got nothing left to lose, so let's start right now. Everybody want a piece of you. Gotta give them what they want, it's true. You're symphonic, yeah, so iconic. If you didn't know before, now you know. Now you know. Take a big step away from who you were. Flashing that smile and the whole world's a blur. Dancing in the light.
Positively powerful, back on a Wednesday morning with Stacey Steinmiller, my good friend and radical life coach. It is a collaboration between our two entities. Sorry, I just watched Blazing Saddles the other day, so Lily von Stuck was in my head. I'm tired. I'm so tired. How you doing, Stace?
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It's kind of chill vibes today over here.
Chill vibes. All right. Did I come in a little crazy, a little energetic? Should I comment?
You came in crazy. Well, but I don't. But when I'm in my chill vibes, I'm just like, what else?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you come in.
Just like floating in the ocean. The waves could be big. The waves could be small. Doesn't matter. You're just gonna roll with it. Gotcha.
I'm just floating today. I'm on a float day.
I feel you. Well, that's good because today I wanted to talk about something that I'm trying to get situated here. I have had an interesting relationship over the years with, and that's called manifesting. And I know there's a lot of people who live by manifesting, like their whole lives kind of revolve around that idea of manifesting. And then some people rail against it. So I first of all, for the uninitiated, what is manifesting?
Oh, that's a good question. It's bringing something into existence, or I think of it as allowing something to drop into your current reality.
I like that. I like that, allowing, because I think a lot of people get it confused and they think that what you're doing is creating, that you're creating this thing, which you kind of are. I mean, some people can take that viewpoint, but I like the idea of you're allowing it. It's destined for you.
Yes.
This is what's supposed to happen, but you have to open the door. You have to get all of the things right for it to happen.
Yeah. You have to get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way. Something that I've been working on recently, and just just in the last 2 weeks, some of the things that have changed have been just
massive,
monumental for me. And it's all from mindset.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. And it's so cool too. And it doesn't mean that everything's always going well, obviously, right? We've talked about that. But when you look at the last couple of weeks of your life and how, it's been all over, like emotionally and all this, but it's that process of working through that, and then just seeing how everything's actually working for you, instead of getting trapped in a dark hole, right? And where you don't keep moving and you don't keep doing whatever. And that's when people have a problem, right?
Yeah, I really believe that it's all just been that ability to turn around and have that self-introspection, to turn around and say and analyze what's going on in any situation. If you're like, if I'm in a really pissy mood, if I'm like just angry at something, I can now have the peace of mind to say, hey, what's going on here? Why am I feeling this way? What's like you said, what's the story? What is
Yeah.
the story? And is that story helping me? No, it's not. What are you pissed off? This guy, cut me off in traffic, or I ran, somebody pissed me off at Wegmans. Why
That's
why am I
kind
letting that have power over me?
right.
Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
but it brings me back to this idea of manifesting. And we've touched on this a little bit in the live streams when you talk about um, focusing on things that you want,
Mm.
and how it's not just focusing on like, oh, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, I want $1 million. It's never going to happen like that.
Right, right,
It's never
right.
going to happen like that. But
Yeah.
if you're better at explaining it. You're better.
Yeah,
So
sure.
what's throw down with the process of
Yeah.
good manifesting.
Yeah. So like you're saying so talk off that. Um you okay, using your example, you have to believe that the $1 million is yours. That's meant for you. It's already happened, right? Um so it's not a trying to get. So when you're like, I want the $1 million, I want the $1 million, I want to have the $1 million. So what you're doing is you're trying to manifest from a state of lack, and you can't manifest from a state of lack. And that's the main hiccup around that. And so when people say it doesn't work, well, you're probably trying to manifest from a state of lack. Um, so you have to believe that it's already happened. It's what you've already asked for. It's, yeah, like you said earlier, it's like it's what's meant for you. So it's like, okay, so I have $1 million coming my way, right? You know, who is that version of me that receives that? Like, how I'm going to use she because I'm a girl. How does she show up in the world? What is her mission and purpose? And how is she serving the world? And right, like what service am I bringing to the world in which that $1 million is coming to me, right? And so when you believe that and you know that, then you kind of start thinking in a different way, and then you can ask for guidance around that, like what is the best way for me to show up today? What is the way for me to serve today? That supports that $1 million self that's you're allowing into existence, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like when you think that way, you create a chain of events that
Mhm.
wouldn't have been lined up that way had you not started that way of thinking. There
Yep.
are people who, talk about this and say, this is just hooey. It's bullshit. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to have $1 million and it's going to happen. Um, what do you say to people who just now, because coming from, because I think that they're coming from a place of lack. They're coming
Yep.
from a place of disbelief. Like, that is so unreal. Like, you can't just sit here and say, I want to have $1 million and I believe it's happening, but I already have my $1 million, and then one day you're going to have $1 million. And I think they're already not going to have it because they already are coming from that point of view of disbelief and no faith and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you need to have the faith. And you can create $1 million in the non-manifesting way through, um, the I guess I would say like the
Mail
normal way, but most people try and
mail
hustle
fraud,
that way. If
bilking
um
people, bilking seniors out of their life savings. Yeah, you can make millions that way too.
you can build a successful business and brand and do all the things. So I think the difference here is more about your life satisfaction and how you're showing up and the energy in which you're expelling to do those things. Um, and so if you're moving forward with I guess I'm gonna use the word creating, with like creating that, if you're doing it from a state of lack, you're trying to earn, what you're trying to do is you're trying to earn your worthiness, you're trying to earn love, you're trying to earn these things because you don't see that you already are it. And that you have everything you need, and you're simply like sharing what you already have with the world, versus I need to go out and earn this, and if I don't, then I'm no good. And then it just creates all this like yeah, so then you have to hustle, you have to pressure, you have to do these things, which often lead to dissatisfaction, burnout, whether it's business or personal, right? This is when you know, your relationships are failing and your personal health is failing, and things like that. So you might be able to hustle your way to a successful business and earn the $1 million. But if you're doing that from a different energy, the other issues in life start to usually creep up for a lot of people. And then they
Yeah.
like, I can't hold it all together, sort of thing.
That's the whole
That's a lot.
situation is yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Sorry.
But
Where are you? I don't
whoa.
see you.
Oh, darn it. Sorry. My computer just went haywire. Everything disappeared on me. My goodness. Let's get Stacey back. There's Stacey, and then here I am.
There you are.
I just went click happy and I started clicking things and clicked all the wrong things. You know how like when you have there's something's behind a window, but usually like on a Mac you'll click on the program and then it'll come up front. Well, it wouldn't do that this time. So I was kind of like, I can't see you. Recently I had some sort of personal emotional tumult, and it was bothering me. It was putting me into a dark place. It was causing a chain reaction of events that was bringing me down a kind of darkened path. And we had a conversation, and we talked about viewing it as a story, viewing how the story affects me, does it help me, and just these other sort of ways of viewing the situations that you share with your clients and with us in the group and stuff that have really helped me to really just get out of that. I've never been able to get out of those ruts, those really tough spots where things are just terrible. Things are terrible. And it's really because it keeps compounding. It keeps getting more. Were you feeling, I'm feeling terrible, I'm pissed off, and then you just keep getting more of that and more of that. And so that kind of goes with the manifestation thing. Like, you know, you think, well, how am I going to manifest this good thing? Well, if you're constantly talking about bad things, you keep manifesting bad things. It just gives you what you're concentrating on. The universe gives you what you're concentrating on.
Right.
And it also works in its own time. It has it has its own plan. It says, well, I can give you $1 million right now, but it's not going to be good for you. You're not ready for that.
Right, you're not ready. And so so then it's okay, right? So then this is where we take responsibility, on of that becoming process of who we are, and how would that look at being in integrity. But I want to ask you.
Yeah.
So wait, like you said, you've never been able to get out of the ruts, and now you're getting out of the ruts. And I'd love to hear more about just that shift of, being like that's an identity of like, when I'm in a rut, I don't get out. And now that's no longer an identity that you hold. And I think that's super powerful.
A lot of it's the redirect, taking time to meditate, 15, 20 minutes. I'll sit down. I put on this 963 megahertz sound that I really like.
Vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like just kind of
Frequency.
going. It's really cool. But that puts me in a calm state. I'm able to concentrate on things that make me happy, things that bring me joy,
Yeah.
outcomes that I believe would bring me joy.
Yeah.
Even though we've talked about how, you don't want to focus on the outcomes creating the joy, but the joy is focused. Let's an example. I think about playing with my dog and
Oh, I love that.
loving my dog, right? And that brings me a warm happiness that I really enjoy. And then I think about things that I want to happen, and I connect that feeling of my
Feeling
dog
state.
and everything with that other
Yeah.
thing that I want to happen. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the Joe Dispenza way. He goes into real detail about that. He uses the term elevated emotion, right? So you're linking that with the elevated emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's your energy. That's the
Right.
important part, right? So that's why you can't just be like, I want $1 million, I want to, so it's yeah, it's like linking it with the elevated emotion. It's yeah, it's because you are like a vessel for all of this. And you know and I like to use words like conduit, steward, and things like this are very helpful. They allow, so there's certain words that I find really helpful in shifting the energy around it. So it's kind of like with the $1 million, it's like, okay, well, so if I'm given the responsibility of this $1 million, what is the like highest level of stewardship of like what I am going to, how I'm going to steward this $1 million into the world, and what does that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, being in high integrity of that, because you're a conduit of this service of bringing love, and recognizing love and service into the world. And that's like the way to look at it, versus I need $1 million so that I can feel safe and
Yeah.
loved. And then it's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because you already are safe and you already are loved and you already
Right.
are provided for, and you're
Right.
not seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with the service part of it. And that's kind of what I do is I focus on how can I serve people better when this is accomplished? Like all the things that having this would allow me to do for others,
Yeah.
which brings me joy.
Yeah.
Like to be able to do things for other people that's one of my love languages, acts of service.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. I enjoy doing things for people. And I really feel like if you try to keep yourself in that state of joy, in that state of service, then the things that you really feel are in your path that are supposed to be yours will get there eventually. And they might
Right.
not get there in the way that you expect. They might
Yeah.
come, disguised as something else that turns into something else that then turns into that.
Right.
It's like you have to constantly be looking 3 moves ahead. It's if you think about it, you're like
Yeah.
you have to be expecting that these good things aren't going to come from one event.
Right. And they might, but they might
They
not.
might.
But
They
knowing
might.
that it's all serving you. And so this is where it's like releasing the ego. So the ego has the expectation, right? Like that's the part of you that's like, this is how it should go. But again, so the ego is trying to control, and then you're not in trust, you're not in faith, right? So it's like going to be like, wait, nope, you're not in trust, you're not in faith. So you have to be in that faith part, which is not knowing all those steps and how it's going to unfold exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
What did Matt say? One of the best quotes I've heard is from Cool Runnings in reference to cheating to win a medal. If you're not good enough without it, you'll never be good enough with it.
Yeah. Right.
Wow, I've
Exactly.
never met anyone that's ever quoted Cool Runnings. It's
Yeah.
a great movie. It's a great movie. Do
Yeah.
you remember
And
that
my
movie about
brother might, he loves that
the
movie.
Jamaican
So
bobsled team?
yeah, he loves that movie. Yeah. Yeah, his favorite movie quotes tend to get into my head just from having heard him say in my entire childhood. It was just hearing my brother quote certain movies, and then it's like I barely even watch the movies, but then I quote them just
Right.
because of him.
The hardest part of getting older, I've found, is that my movie quotes are becoming less and
Unrelatable.
less relevant and less. Well, maybe not relevant to other people who hear them. They're like, "What? What's that from?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, you've not seen Caddyshack?" Like,
Yeah.
but no, they haven't
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
because
it
they're
just changes.
23.
Just gonna laugh at the
Oh, I might have
joke.
saw that when I was 9. I think my dad was watching it once. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's tough.
So
Yeah.
recently, the the manifesting, it's been an interesting it's been an interesting process because while I have not manifested the thing that I'm trying to manifest, I am seeing things lining up in a way that, and this is where the like thinking 2-3 moves ahead comes in. I can see that happening through
Yeah.
these other things
Unfolding.
lining up. May or may not happen, but I like to believe that I'm on the right track. So
Yep.
I want to keep doing that. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, being being helpful for others, staying in a state of gratitude, um, trying not to dwell on the negative emotions, trying not to let my ego get in the way,
Mm.
and you talk about the ego a lot. And I think that we could probably do a whole episode about the ego because it's the ego is so much bigger than what we grow up learning what ego is. You think,
Yeah. And there's a
oh,
lot of different
ego,
ways. Yeah.
you think ego and you think, oh, that's just someone thinking I'm the shit. But there's just, it's like this whole way of viewing things that it gets really into the psychological mumbo jumbo that I find really interesting. But when you start talking about ego, it's kind of like ego is the bad part.
Yeah. Which is, yeah. And that's hard too, because you also don't want to view it that way either.
Right.
But so when I use it, it's more of a spiritual like definition of ego. So we're looking at how ego is, how Eckhart Tolle, so I'm putting in my books, they're everywhere, talks about ego. I've been working through A Course in Miracles and how that talks about ego and things like that. So it's like Eckhart Tolle would call it, that's the small self. You can also just see it as like the human, the body identified self that says like I'm me, I'm my body, versus I am God, I am divine, I am one, we are all one sort of you know view. So that's the distinction when I talk about it.
So much to learn, so much to learn. So I don't know, I don't know, like for anyone who jumped on this and thinking that they were going to learn all about manifesting, maybe they didn't, but I enjoy just talking about this stuff because it gets me excited about the possibilities. You reference a lot of books and stuff, and I always go back to The Alchemist. It's
Oh,
still one
you've
of my
posted that
yeah,
quote,
yeah.
right?
It's still
Yeah.
one of my favorite books of all time. And I have the audiobook that was narrated by Jeremy Irons, who's just got such a cool voice. So it's just a really cool story. And that particularly that one quote where he talks about how the universe conspires
Yeah.
to give you what you're looking, and the exact quote is, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. um And
Yeah.
I just love the phrasing of that and the word conspires,
Yeah.
because
It's so cool.
it sounds mischievous. It sounds like kind of like backroom dealings kind of thing.
'Cause
Um,
that's how it feels, because
but
that's how it
yeah,
feels. Yeah,
yeah,
when it's happening. And so that's why you have to have that mindset of like knowing like, okay, how is this serving me right now? Like I know it is, but my small mind doesn't know, but I believe and know that it's serving me because it, like I said, it might look like a disaster in your life, right? At the time. And but that's also that conspiring happening, and you don't know, right? Like you don't know.
I
So
think
it's
I think
thing.
one of the best parts about all of this for me is that when you when you talk about manifesting and you say this is going to happen, you focus on the happening and not the how. The what and
Yes.
not the how. Like the how is
I have a phrase on that. I say
ooh,
F the how and allow.
I love the way I love it. I love it. You know, if I don't see you drop an F bomb on Facebook in a day, then my day is not complete.
Okay. I go in phases. Sometimes I do a little more. Sometimes I'll back up because, not everybody likes it. And I'm not trying to people please, but I also don't want to come across aggressive
Right.
either.
F the how and allow.
And allow.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
it sums it up perfectly because that I mean when we in 2019 well, I should go back further. I think it was like 2015 or 2016 we said we're going to make a movie.
Mm.
We're going to make a feature film. A friend of mine had a script. We worked on the script, got it, kind of it was old. It was an old script. It was like 20 years old or something by that time, or 15 years old by that time. So we're like, all right, let's, take out the reference to flip phones and beepers and punch it up a little bit. But we had to raise money for it. Because
Mm.
it cost money to make a movie. And we didn't know how we were going to raise the money. And we tried a lot of different things. But the whole time we moved forward
Mhm.
as though we had the money.
Yeah.
And this is something that I believe his name is Bill Fitch. I never get his name right. Fitchner. He's an actor. He's from Buffalo. He's been in tons and tons of big movies. One of the biggest movies he was in was Armageddon. He was one of the
Oh.
pilots in Armageddon. But he's a Buffalo guy. And he made some of his own independent films. And our film commissioner here in Rochester, Nora Brown, is friends with him and said, he has always said, you just act like you have the money, act like you have it, continue moving on. It's there. We're doing this. We're doing this. And that's what we did for quite a few years when it finally came up to, and it wasn't happening until we actually really did believe, like live in the moment that
Like
we're doing it.
really believe, yeah.
We scheduled shoot days. We hired people and said, you
Mm.
know, and sure enough, it wasn't maybe not the best way, but we got the money. It wasn't
Right, because
illegal or
you
anything like
were
that.
in, yeah, you were acting in faith. Like that is a great example of what that looks like, acting in faith. And so like truly believing that I have it versus trying to pretend. And yeah, so it because, and that's about the inherent value, right? So if you keep being like, well, once I get the money, then I will be valuable enough to show up at these places and do these things, right? Then
Right.
then you're not acting in trust and so forth, and you're letting your value be dictated by the external versus being like, I am inherently valuable. I have value to bring, right? And I know that, and I know that deeply in my body. So that's, I know we're like coming up on time here, but it's also, but I do want to say as well that the manifestation stuff is actually a lot of body work, and letting your body needs to be able to handle the emotions and be open and available to what you have to believe it in your gut. You can't just say it in your head. Like, it has to feel it in your body.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Take a deep breath and remember
That's the best
who
way
you
to
are.
wrap it up. And it's so true. You really, really have to fully believe with all the fibers of your being that this is the case. RadicalLifeCoach.com. Get a hold of Stacey and change your life like I have done. I can attest to her good deeds. Rockvox.com. We've had a lot of new people come in through the doors, joining the membership plans and doing their podcasts with us. Happy to help you find your podcast goals. Just reach out, rockvox.com. And this is Positively Powerful. We will catch you next week. Same bat time. Ciao.
Flashing that smile in the hope